Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Student Minds podcast. I'm Melissa. This is Ramazan. And today's topic is on careers and development.
We're going to move on to the next segment of the show, I guess. So this bit, it's more about kind of money management or the mindset that students have when they're going through university, because obviously there's rising kind of living costs and things like that. So there's a lot of struggle in that sense, and also balancing kind of work as well as studies, because obviously a lot of students, they have to kind of balance that
Both,
time
yeah.
and make some money to pay for certain things.
So I would say first of all is just like a note. If you are really struggling money-wise at Brunel, there is the wellbeing team have a hardship fund that you can access based on certain requirements. But if you that is available, so just as a note, if anyone is really struggling on that front. But there are things that we put in place to sort of, we're very much aware of this. I think everyone in general in the whole of the UK and probably the world are feeling the strains with money.
Yeah.
So we are very much aware of that. So for example, with placement, if you want to do placement and you could do it as sometimes, if it works, a part-time option where you can work maybe 4 days a week and then you'll have some of the rest of the week to work part-time, especially if it is unpaid. So that there's flexibility that you can do. But so we try to support as much as we can in that sense. But I think it's important to bear in mind if money is a really big thing and you need to have some money coming in, because everyone's setup's completely different.
Yeah.
And that only a paid opportunity is going to work in order for you to gain experience, then just sort of going full steam ahead with that, but being open-minded about what you want to do, because if it is, for example, you want to work within the creative industries and you can't get paid, think about the transferable skills that you might gain that are going to be super relevant to what you want to do. Even if it is working in customer service, you're going to gain real good personable skills, and you can be paid for that and gain the experience. Other than that, I don't really know money-wise. It's a very individual circumstance.
So I wanted to ask about when people... So you were saying about how people should be like slightly open-minded about like internship or placement opportunities and stuff like that if they need money and everything. But then I was wondering, because there's a lot of students that kind of go into a job right after that has nothing to do with their degree, for example. That is not their ideal job and it's not exactly what they want to get into. But because it's just easier, they kind of get stuck in that role and never kind of get out of it because of comfort. And I was just wondering if you have any comments about that or any advice about that sort of thing, or not getting trapped in that sort of, okay, I'm going to stay at this job just because it's easier, even though that's not what I want to do kind of thing.
I think that's really true, and it does happen often. I think even if, say you're working part-time alongside your studies, you finish your final year and you're like, oh, I'm going to go full-time for a bit whilst I search for something
a bit, exactly.
else.
So it's for a bit and then,
And then like you're really comfortable because you have this salary coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
Which if it's a full-time salary, you're probably going to be like enjoying that.
And it feels nice,
And then it gets to a point where you're there like a year later and you still haven't been that proactive in looking for anything else. Like you may be... search occasionally for jobs but never proactively apply. And we know that that's something that happens, and we do have the Kickstart program in place for recent graduates. So if we do a calling campaign, so we check in and see where everyone is.
Okay, interesting.
So we call and just be like, are you employed? Are you still, what are you doing? What level of employment is that? Is it relevant to what you want to do? And then there's a Kickstart program to help them get kickstarted and getting to where they want to be.
Oh, okay.
So that might be, for example, someone that's continuing to work in Sainsbury's full time, but then that's not the industry that they want to work in.
They want to be
what
in,
they want to do. Or it might be their not at the level they want to be. They might not be graduate level. They might be enjoying it.
What do you help them with? Applications for a different role? Or?
Yeah, so it's very similar to the support that's offered in general, but it's a very like condensed, more supportive, regular interaction to like coach them through getting to where they want to be and helping them be more proactive. And that's open to, there's only a certain amount of spaces on that. And of course, the careers consultants are still there for up to 3 years after graduation. But I think it just comes down to the person. Like, you have to be mindful that you could get stuck in that loop, and just making a plan and goals.
Yeah.
And that might be something like, I'm going to apply for one role a week until a certain point, or, you know, and one role is fine because you should spend a decent amount of time on your application. And I think now it's so hard, especially with AI, people are like applying to tons of things and then not getting any response back, which doesn't help with the rejection.
Confidence and
And confidence. Because AI is so supportive in that sense, but it isn't always the best route. And I don't say don't use it. Like, I'm happy for people to use it to support them. But it can mean that employees are getting lots of the same applications and things like that. So that's just a side note, and I'm going off track. But just
no, it's really
setting
important.
yourself
It's really important.
goals, and being mindful that if you do want to get out of that loop and that comfort, you know, you do have to be proactive. And if you do need accountability, there are people like the careers consultants who can be there to support you through that.
Yeah, and be self-aware, I guess, of what kind of person you are, or if you think, you know, I have the tendency to kind of do this thing and I should make sure I kind of plan ahead of time that I don't get stuck into that because I think I will. And I think we should all just be open to the idea that we can get into that and try and kind of prevent that from happening and stuff, because and
just because it is just because it is competitive doesn't mean to say it's not going to happen for you. You just have to keep going with it. And lots of Brunel students do so well that there are lots of people you can look at. And that's another good thing for LinkedIn, is to connect with alumni, see where they're at, get some motivation. Or even if there's Brunel alumni working in organisations that you would love to work for, I think
get some advice from them.
Like
100%.
they're always up for conversations, just to have like a 5-minute chat. To be like, oh, what have you been doing? What do you like about the company? Do you think this is... And it might just be that, you know, oh, we've got an intern role coming up. I can send you more details. Like,
that's great,
you never know. So it's good to have those conversations.
Also, something I thought was worth mentioning, when people apply for jobs and, for example, let's say you get rejected and stuff, it's always worth asking why. Because it's just like, I think people think that like you have to just figure it out by yourself, or they just struggle and just cry about it, and they're like, why was I picked? Ask why.
Feedback.
Always feedback, because a lot of the employers will give feedback. I know I was applying for an internship at one point for this lab, and the person was really nice. It was a great interview and everything, but I did not have the skills they were looking for yet, which is perfectly fine. I mean, I'm still studying, and it's very understandable, and it's perfectly fine. But it was really nice to just sort of get that sort of, you know, feedback of what exactly is it that you're looking for, or what is it that I could do better, or what is it about my CV that I could do better, you know, and just kind of getting that feedback. And if you don't get that feedback, you still don't lose anything by asking, I feel like, but it's always worth asking why.
And just being open to taking constructive criticism as well. 100%. It's only going to help you.
Exactly.
As an example, when I left university, I applied for a role at Sadler's Wells, which is like a really nice dance theatre. And I really wanted it. And then they called me and they actually gave me some really nice feedback, so that they know not every organisation does it. Nice as in, it was nice for them to give me feedback. It wasn't
nice feedback.
One of the kind, not the kind things, one of the best things to have learnt from that is that I didn't talk enough, is what she said. She was like, you needed to talk more. Like you could have elaborated. And I think that's a key point. So say you've got an interview and they say it's a 45-minute interview and you've only been in there 20 minutes and it's done. You could have probably spoken a lot more, because they're going to ask everyone the same questions. So just don't be afraid to
elaborate on
and just sell yourself. Like, you've got loads of good 100%. Skills, talk about your experience. That's what they're there to do, and ask questions as well.
This is something I'm curious about. When you sell yourself, how do you make it not sound narcissistic, basically? Because I think it's just, again, from a lot of experiences that I've had or other people have had, it's just, I know that people kind of struggle with, I'm saying people a lot, I need to change that word, that everyone kind of struggles a little bit with kind of talking about their achievements and everything in a way that doesn't sound self-satisfying, I guess, or like, Does that make sense?
Self-indulgent,
Arrogant.
Yeah.
Self-indulgent,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I think there are some instances where you might be talking about, it's not like you're going on like a date and you're gonna be like, this is my CV. Like, this is all the great things I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's probably not the best time to like
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
But if you're at an interview and
Yeah.
your role in that situation is to
Yeah.
tell them about your experience and your skills
Yeah.
and what you can bring,
Mm.
then go for it. That's what you're there to do, you know? And as long as you're answering the questions, you know, you're fine. If you're following what they're asking, then and you have relevant experience,
Yeah.
you need to really sell yourself, and that's the whole point of an interview.
Yeah.
They want to hear it all, even if you have put it on your application. Don't
Yeah.
assume that they've read it. It might be someone else that has done the filtering and they've not even seen a copy of it. Or they might want you to elaborate further on those things, even if they have read it. So, just talk as much as you can about your great experience because they've seen something for you to get to that point in the process.
I think the other important thing here as well is a lot of students might not have had that experience of like being in an interview as well. So
that's true.
getting
That's
that
true.
experience with, again, the PDC, we've mentioned them so many times, but
Yeah.
getting that experience of practicing that interview skills in different scenarios, I think it's important to do before you go into the actual kind of interview
definitely,
itself.
because you're not going to know the person. Probably you may if you've like interned with them or something before. But sometimes it's nerve-wracking just sitting across from someone who you don't know and having to talk about yourself. But there are things that obviously there's the PDC, which we've mentioned tons, but they are so supportive. But we also run an event, which one of my colleagues has championed, which is the interviewathon. So with that, I don't know if you may have.
That sounds cool though.
So it's kind of just like speed interviews with
like
lots
blind
of
dating,
Speed
for
dating,
interviews,
yeah.
speed dating, I guess. Yeah.
so you wouldn't have had to prepare for it, and there's probably going to be similar questions, but they're going to be like, tell me about yourself, which are they're asked. That's a question that's asked in some way, shape, or form in most interviews. And if you can't start with that, then that's
because it's quite vague, so you need to be able to have something backed up for. Okay, when someone asks me that, what do I say?
Yeah. And I think so attending those sort of events is a really good way to like chuck yourself in the deep end. So, you know, first of all, am I okay at doing interviews, or have I got a lot to improve on? And I think for some students, they found it so helpful because they're like, oh, actually, I do need some prep on this. And if that was a real life interview, they wouldn't have done so great. So just practice is key.
Nice. So I guess moving on to the next segment. So here we're going to talk more about kind of balancing priorities and for students, I guess. So we've already mentioned so many like different amazing things that they can do.
Yeah.
But what are the best ways for them to kind of balance all those things? So work, like developing themselves and applications for whether it's for placements, for internships, or maybe even for postgraduate kind of courses.
That's
and
me.
stuff.
I'm applying for masters.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
So I think there's lots of different sort of time management techniques and tools that you can use. I think sort of backward planning is always really good, and knowing what you've got coming up, different times of the year where it's going to be really full on and when it isn't, and just like putting that down on paper. That might be for some people, it might not be for others.
Yeah.
But there are different other tools. So within coaching, there's this it's called the pickle jar. Which I don't know if you've heard
I've
of.
never come across that.
No.
Basically like a visual prompt to look at how you prioritize your tasks. So imagine an empty jar. And then there's sand, pebbles, and rocks.
I see. Okay.
I've come across this. Yeah, really.
So how you prioritize things, this could be really helpful, especially when you've got a lot coming on. This could be for anyone, or even not university life.
Yeah.
But sand is like all of those little things. Like, I don't know. For me, it's like emails that I
Emails,
end
that's
up
so true.
with tons. So like there's loads of sand
messages,
trays
calls,
and
everything. Yeah.
Those quick wins that you can tick off, and usually the things that you go to when you're procrastinating.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
But if you just continuously do all of those quick things all the time, your jar will like be full of sand, and there will be no room for rocks or pebbles, which are much bigger. You're not going to fit any of them in, and you're not going to get around to doing those big things like preparing to plan for a graduate role or applying for placement and things like that.
Actually applying instead of just planning
So-
that you're going to plan. That's
Yeah.
me. I plan everything and then don't do it.
So then you just need to identify what is a rock, which
Yeah.
are like those things that need to be done right now. And they don't have to be big things, but it might be like, I've got a deadline in 2 weeks. I need to get that done.
So like big priorities.
Yeah. And then the pebbles are more like the medium things. So it might just be like, I don't know, I've got to finish this half essay left that I've got to do. Or,
Yeah.
you know, I've got to go and meet, work on a team project. That's a little bit smaller in regards to like a larger thing. So it's just making sure you can fit all of those things into your jar in a way that's good for like time management. And being also aware of when you're procrastinating and trying to do this as well. So that's a good sort of visual prompt to help you work through time management. There's also other things like the Eisenhower matrix that you can look at.
What's that?
So it's like a quadrant of like urgent, not urgent,
Oh,
delegate,
I know this.
and then
I know
also
this,
just
yeah.
get rid of.
Yeah.
So I would just look that up if you want to have a good way of like prioritizing tasks and then just doing good timelines and figuring out what works for you and trialing those things, but not to a point where you're using time management to get out of doing what you need
This
to
is
do.
me. This
Where
is
you need
literally
to
me. This is what I do. But yeah, but I do think it's really, really helpful to have things written down so you can visualize them, which is, I feel like something not everyone does, which if you have a better way of dealing with it, 100%, but it's worth trying, of just kind of writing everything you need to do down as it comes to you, like right away, so you don't forget, and then kind of putting them into priority kind of levels.
Yeah.
And I think what's important to say as well here with your example of the pickle jar kind of, so those big rocks, I think what we need to do is to spend that time to think about what are those kind of really important large items that we need to prioritize our time with. So things like our health and well-being, obviously, and like making sure that we have enough time for exercising or for other things that recharge our batteries, and because a lot of those other things that we've mentioned, obviously applications and work and studies and essays and things, all of those are really important stuff. But if you don't have the energy and the right habits, then you're gonna get burnt out and
Entirely. You need to have some time for like yourself.
Self-care.
And I think that only continues to happen as you go through life. Right now, I obviously got work. I have a 2-year-old. I'm in the process of moving house. And I'm like,
God,
I don't think I have much time for me. And I'm like, I'm just trying to have at least 2 minutes in the morning so I can just have some time to myself before everyone else wakes up.
crazy,
But it just happens. So you need to just be mindful of those things to fill your cup up, basically, which is really like cliche. But you're not going to be able to put 100% into other things if you can't like fill your cup up.
Yeah, like spending time with friends and things like that as well. Like it's something that you don't really think about maybe as a student because you're surrounded by that kind of environment. But especially when you go out into the real world, you're so much more alone and independent almost. And you have to be wary of the times that you need to kind of prioritize yourself and your well-being.
That's another good point as well. Like in university, most of the time you have like a little circle of friends, and being aware of like who really lifts you up and like what you want as your like supportive network as well is also really good, because if they're not sort of on the same lines as you, just being mindful of that, and that's okay, but like making sure you can stick to where you want to be and knowing, and your rocks don't have to be big, like targets or goals. They could just be really big, important things to you.
So since you mentioned coaching, I was wondering about, so you said you did a course or you're doing a course?
Yeah, so I'm almost finished. I've been doing it for like a year and a bit. It's coaching, professional coaching apprenticeship qualification.
Okay.
So I'm actually coaching other members of staff at Brunel. So they have a coaching network. So anyone who works at Brunel can access a coach.
Yeah.
And there's loads within the staff at Brunel. So I am doing my qualification for that. I'm nearly finished, which is exciting.
Congratulations.
So,
Yeah, congrats.
thank you.
So what sort of coaching do you do? Like what exactly do you coach on? How does it work?
Yeah.
So at the moment, it's aimed on professional-based goals or outcomes or aims, or it might just be something as not simple, but developing confidence. Or some people that I work with, they have like, I have a deadline and I want to do this by then. So just helping them, and not so coaching is defined as helping other people help themselves, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm not
nice.
like any more knowledgeable than them. Like they're obviously very knowledgeable about the thing, especially any academics that I work with. Like they're like super knowledgeable about what they're doing. Like I have no idea what it is that you're doing your research on. Like not that I'm not interested, but like they're super intelligent. But I don't have to know that. I'm there to just provide a safe space for them to talk things through, to ask them questions, to help them reflect on things and move forward to work towards what they want to achieve. Empowering them, basically.
Yeah, nice.
But it's super helpful in my job working with students as well, because I can have coaching conversations with them.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
just a brief point. So what I'm going into is sports psychology. So a lot of the things that you've mentioned there, like I don't need to be an elite kind of athlete to be able to share certain psychological kind of training or different frameworks and different things that they can use in their own professional kind of professional kind of careers and get the benefit of that. Like I don't need to be that professional to be able to kind of give them those tools. So it's good.
Oh, that's interesting though. That's interesting. Yeah, because about the confidence thing, I'm wondering, because I know that's a common problem with CVs and interviews and stuff as well, of just sort of having that confidence, or when you talk about your experience, kind of being like, yes, I'm good at this thing. How, like, I know a lot of people struggle with sort of identifying what is good or what is mediocre, or am I good at this thing, or can I be confident with this thing? So yeah, I was just wondering what.
I think it depends on what you're applying it to as well, and like how you need to display that. So say, for example, they're asking for you to be able to know a certain amount about a certain topic. So if you need to be confident in Excel, for example, it's a little bit different because you can like practically learn and do things in like a more tangible sense. But if it's confidence in a sense of, in that job description, they're saying you must be able to present back in a monthly team meeting to directors about the team's progress. That means you have to stand up in front of people that are like these leaders, and you might hate public speaking, but it's a job that you really want to do. So you need to grow your confidence to be able to do that. So to be able to speak confidently about yourself is one, you need to think about, have you got the relevant experience? Do you feel confident enough to be able to do that? Another thing, which is relevant but slightly off topic, is women also aren't as confident to apply for a job if they don't meet as much of the criteria. So
girls, no.
Men are more confident if there are numbers around it. But
I think I've seen some research in that as well.
So women are less likely to apply for things if they feel they don't meet a certain amount of the criteria, and men are more confident and be like,
just do it.
I'll just do it.
I mean, for once, I have to agree with that. Because it's worth applying no matter what when you think about it. So
I think as long as you can meet most of the criteria in some way, you know, some people say fake it till you make it, and you can learn on the job.
Yeah,
but if you have some relevant skills, some part of that is a learning journey. So still go for it.
Girls, go for it anyway, please.
But yeah, I think confidence is not something you're born with. It's something 100%, that you need to develop. 100%. So if you aren't confident or not sure how confident you are that your application will be strong, practicing what it is that you need to do. So say you make the application, then try and put yourself forward to, like, say you're doing a group project at university, say I'm going to present back our findings, so that you're being proactive in practically doing something to build your confidence, which comes from repetition and trusting yourself that you can actually do the thing.
Yes. Also, get your friends to help you. Like one of my friends that I live with as well, every time she had some kind of presentation, she would be like, oh, Melly, can I just read this to you quickly? I'm like, yeah, of course. So then she just present to me her project or whatever. And then I'd give her some feedback at the end of just, I'm a bit more curious about this thing you didn't go into as much. Maybe you could go a little bit more into that. Or I feel like they'll be interested in this particular thing and maybe go a little more into that. I feel like maybe that's not as relevant. So maybe a little less of that and more of that. So, get a friend you trust to listen to you.
Yeah.
I do think you need to pick someone who is you think can give you good feedback though.
Yeah,
because
that's going to be open as well, not just like, yeah, you're great. You need someone who's
exactly.
going to be like, oh, actually,
tell you that
exactly
cold,
step it up.
hard truth. Almost
Cold hard truth. Hit you where it hurts. But yeah, 100%. Like get people to help you. You know, it's not wrong to ask for help. And get professionals to help you, and get your friends to help you, and get your family to help you.
I've got some experience of this actually. So when I, so obviously I'm a mature student, so at Brunel, so coming into sports psychology is something quite late on. I'm like transitioning from something else to this. So the first time round, when I was in high school, so I was, I had kind of academically, I had the kind of grades to go into and study medicine.
Yeah.
So everyone around me, like everyone was pushing me that you can do this. But at the time, you were mentioning that you were an introvert. At the time, like I was so kind of, so much in my shell that like just going out to ask friends and things like that to just help me with that interview practice. That was something that was so kind of scary for me.
Yeah.
And then the thought of going into the kind of interview itself, and like I had interviews, I had like in line, and I went to the interviews obviously, but if you're in your shell and you're afraid to kind of practice, let alone do the actual thing, then how are you expecting to kind of, to get in?
That's so interesting. I never would have thought
scary.
you were like that, knowing you now. Like,
Yeah, it comes with experience as well, and like getting to understand yourself as well. And I think that happens as you get older, or like if you take some time to like really be like, who am I? Like, I think you go through a point of like, you know, you come through school and everything, and unless you're like have really strong opinions, then you kind of are molded in a certain way, and you get to a certain point where you're like, oh, actually, what is it that I believe in? What is it that I want to portray myself as? And then you can have those changes like you have, and you know, you've decided to come at it again from a different angle.
Yeah. So because the idea is that like the goals almost are the same. Like I still want to help people. I want to kind of give them the ability, the tools and things like that to kind of develop in their careers. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to be a doctor and like I'm going to give them certain whatever like treatment and things like that. So it's still kind of this idea of like I'm still in line with what I wanted to do, but it's approaching it from a different angle, and being open and flexible to the idea of other avenues of achieving those goals, long-term
and this
goals.
might be assuming, but would you say that ties into sort of your personal values of like being able to support others, and then maybe some interests around like the sports side of things, like merging?
Exactly. So how I came about kind of sports psychology, like you say, like I've played sports for as long as I can remember, and taken so much away from that. And then this idea of kind of personal development and psychology came in when I was in sales and marketing. So there's this whole idea of like, to be able to sell, you really need to be able to kind of develop certain skills in presentations and communicating in the most effective way, and not being afraid of kind of being rejected, like face to face, like the number of rejections that I've personally faced, and like that development that I've gone like, okay, just because this person is saying no, they're not saying no to me, then they're saying no to the product or the service that I'm offering them. That doesn't mean that they're saying no to me as like my character and stuff. So that development, and then I've combined the two together, and like hopefully
I think being objective with rejection sometimes helps when you kind of think, okay, it's not aimed at me, you know, or okay, maybe I did make a mistake, but I can fix it, or it's not the end of the world if someone says no and stuff. But yeah, that's really interesting. So do you think that like that gave you, what do you think helped you get that confidence then, since you said you were kind of in your shell and everything?
So I really kind of did a like deep dive on like that whole idea of like personal development. I've read so many kind of books and listened to so many podcasts, the one that we're doing right now. Listened to so many podcasts, actually went to like loads of different seminars and things like that, like so attended events and stuff. So like really kind of put myself out there, and like I said, in sales, and like there's no way that you can succeed unless you're kind of coming out of that comfort zone and putting yourself consistently out there and like facing that rejection, but also achieving so many amazing things as well. And like all of that kind of has given me this opportunity to kind of do something like this and be at university again, and dream of much bigger things hopefully in the future. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great. We got Ramazan lore, guys. Oh my god. Yeah. I was kind of the opposite. I mean, I was really shy as a child and everything, but then because of my parents' jobs, I had to socialize. Like I was kind of forced to, basically. So then really early on, I learned to socialize, and then publicly on camera and everything as well. But then I think that's also why I kind of like, I got used to talking really well, but also I put a lot of energy into it when I do it, which is what gets me really exhausted. Like, because it's such an intense process, I think. And also because I learned it so young, I don't think I learned how to do it in a way that I don't find exhausting, which is kind of what I'm exploring right now, where I'm trying to make socializing fun for me. So it's not so exhausting, but I kind of used to do it just for like others in a way. So now I'm kind of trying to be more at peace with myself and kind of make this process a bit more, like, get some enjoyment out of it as well, basically. But I think definitely confidence comes with kind of knowing yourself. This is actually something that my brother told me. I was really depressed at one point, and he told me that you get peace of mind and you get confidence once you know yourself, which I actually got as a tattoo as well.
Wow.
But I don't know, it really got to me because I feel like it's so important, and you understand and see the world so well once you actually know like who you are and what you're good at and what you're not good at. And what you're not good at isn't a bad thing as well. Because I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh no, but I'm not good at this thing and it's bad and I should be good at everything. And it's like, no, you don't. You're special because you're good at some things and you're bad at some things, and that's good, or that's funny, or it makes you special. And I think that's a good thing. Like some people get annoyed easier, but to your friends, that can be a funny thing. Like bad things aren't necessarily bad, or negative things are not bad, or you know.
Well, I listened to a podcast. I think her name's Erica Kramer. She's the queen of confidence.
Oh, okay. Something to look out for, guys.
Whilst we're on the theme of confidence, she speaks about like the root meaning of confidence in Latin. I think is to have like self-trust.
Oh
wow.
Or something around that. And basically she was saying like basically you have to set yourself things and stick to them to be able to build confidence, because if you are letting yourself down, then you're never going to like have the confidence to believe you can do the things that you want to do. So she was like, even if it's something as simple as like setting my alarm and getting up and not pressing snooze, I have committed.
Oh, that's so hard.
You've committed to doing that for yourself, and then obviously that can be bigger things. But you're just reinforcing that self-trust to then have confidence in yourself, because you can't really get confidence from other things other than like, what you do for yourself.
Yeah, I just think it's a beautiful perspective of, because I think we always think of confidence as self-love, but I like self-trust a bit more, because it's that sort of thing of you trust yourself. You're a person that you know, you're a person that's always there, and you should be able to know who's always with you, kind of thing, right? Like, I don't know, I like that idea. I like it more than just pure self-love, because I think sometimes you also need to be aware of your downsides and stuff if you want to love yourself more. And that is about trusting yourself as well. But I don't know, maybe I'm waffling. Maybe I'm waffling. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I guess
so go on the last
the last segment, I guess. So what we're going to be talking about is kind of finding your place and things like that. So we've talked about obviously all the internship placements and different opportunities that we've taken. But I guess the question here is, what are like, so obviously you've come out of your degree and you've gone into something completely different, and you were obviously flexible to the idea of like approaching it in different ways and things. So how can other students kind of make that journey the easiest way possible for themselves?
I think it's just being open-minded. For some people, it's easier than others. I mean, I'm quite chill and I go with the flow, and I kind of I'm trying to be optimistic around like where it is and like what's meant to be will be, which is a bit more woo-woo, but that's just me. And for some people, it's not like that. You know, you want to have a plan. So yeah, I think similar to what you were just saying, like you know that you enjoy helping people basically, and that doesn't have to be the medicine route, but you want to do it in this new plan that you have. So for example, with me, when I did sort of the theatre degree and like working with loads of people to create like an ensemble production, or providing something that's a performance that's going to make people laugh or like bring them joy and like they're enjoying this experience. I also loved working in retail, which is probably like some people's nightmare, but like I loved maybe it's the people pleaser in me, but like I loved like making sure like if there was something in the stockroom and they had it and like I was like, yes, we've got it, I've got the item, or like I had such joy in like doing stock take and like making sure it's there. Like I just loved like that aspect of things.
You probably
so, like,
gave other people joy as well, because like these minor interactions mean so much to people's everyday, right? Like,
so like it's that people aspect as well, and like providing like a service basically. And then like what I've gone on to do and like now is very like people orientated. So I think it's also thinking about your strengths, strengths that you have, and sometimes you forget about those in your day to day, because you're doing stuff all the time that you find easy, but others are like, I don't know how, like I couldn't do that. So being a bit self-reflective and thinking of your strengths, also tapping into your values and like what aligns, and then being open-minded to how you can take that forward into different routes. So I mentioned before, we work with lots of different employers that like they will recruit for any course. I'm trying to think of some examples. So for like FDM, for example, they're more of like a consultant-based techie firm, but they're open to everyone because like even as like a sports student, you're probably going to have like quite a competitive nature, and they want that in like that sort of role where you're working with different people, or like if you're a theatre student, you're probably going to be quite confident or able to like put yourself out there, or like go and show up in a certain way to
or improvise.
And improvise. So all of those certain things. Just thinking about how you can use your strengths and your skills, and being flexible with that, and open-minded, not pigeonholing companies as well. So for example, we have lots of companies come. So Bosch, for example, people probably think, what do you think when you think of Bosch? What comes to your mind?
Like washing machines and kind of technology, kind of maybe certain people from engineering background might kind of go to
technology, I guess.
So say we have them come and do a drop-in session, they are also going to have a marketing team, they're going to have HR, they're going to have finance.
That's true. There's so many jobs within a company that have all these traits.
They're huge organizations, obviously.
So it's just, don't like dismiss them because you have an idea around what they do. Before this recording, I met with British Airways, and a similar thing. They're like,
Heathrow's really close to you, actually.
Very.
So they were like, we have a finance stream, we have like a future business stream, like they've got loads of things. So they're not just like pilots and cabin crew. They have lots of, and also they've got people that work in recruitment who are the people that I'm talking with. So it's just being a bit open-minded around where you can go. Unless you're really, keen on where you want to be as an endpoint, then go full steam ahead. But if not, just be mindful about options.
I think an important point here as well is that there's so many new things coming out, so many new industries developing. Obviously, with this kind of burst of AI and different technologies like that, there's roles that are going to be there that right now there might not be, but in 5 years' time or even less than that, there are going to be roles that you might be perfect for, but you might not be able to find just now, I guess. So having that open mind to kind of search and and
upskill and just keep on top of things. I mean, if you want an AI expert, I've got a colleague who loves it. And this might not just separate, but if he is so into AI and like the careers space and stuff, and I'm sure he'd love it if it's something you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, actually, that would be really cool.
Talk to you for days about it.
That would be really cool, actually. So I think it's such a relevant topic to the days we live in and everything. I think people will find that enjoyable.
And like more and more like students are using AI in their applications. And we on the PDC website, we have a whole section around using AI in your career search that as a team, we've sort of had a little AI working group to sort of discuss what we think is right and supportive. Because so for example, with placement, I had 3 students who applied, and after the second and third student, I saw the application, I was like, something's going
They're a
on
bit
here.
similar, yeah.
Because like literally they had exactly the same line. And I was like, okay, AI is great. And I think you can really use it. And I wouldn't say don't use it, but use it to enhance what you've got and generate some new perspectives. Or say you've done your CV and you've got the job description and you want to just make sure you're not missing anything, put a prompt in to say how, have I missed any of the essential criteria here?
Yeah, use it for advice. I think that can be really useful of how can I get a bit more structure to this, but then do it yourself.
Yeah,
I
rather
think
than
that's
saying,
really,
like, can you put a point
Write
in
this
how
one,
I
yeah.
then missed that criteria? Like, can you make some, because if they're making it up, they don't really know. They're like
No,
assuming.
yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely use it to support.
Yeah,
Sorry, I've
read
gone
it
off
through.
topic there.
No, it's okay.
No,
Read it through as well. If you're going to use AI, read through it because
100%.
that's when you can make it personal to yourself, I think, when you kind of have a little read through and you're like, okay, this doesn't actually feel like me, and then change it up. And then one more thing that I wanted to ask, which, again, I think it might be me repeating myself or we've already talked about this, but I just think it's important. If you have any advice on kind of for students or for everyone, just kind of how to find this, like their strengths a little bit, or how to think about what are my strengths when making an application, or just when it comes to confidence, if you have any advice on that sort of thing, because I think that's what the main struggle is with a lot of people who lack self-confidence or don't exactly know what to write because they're just like, I don't know. They just think, I don't know what to write. So
there's a good tool you can use to be a little bit self-reflective. And I'm not going to be able to remember it all from the top of my head, but it's
okay. We can
Johari's-
probably put links in. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
So it's called Johari's window or Johari window.
Okay.
And basically it's a quadrant again, and it looks at the different perspectives. So it's like the known, the unknown, what other people are aware of and what they're not aware of.
Okay.
And it's a great way, alongside that, and maybe 360 feedback is another tool to help think about yourself. And you can do this in relation to strengths in different ways. So it might be, what strengths are you putting out there that is known to everyone? So it might be that I'm good at building relationships with employers because that's what I do in my day to day, and you would know that. But then you might not know, we have spoken about it, but you might not know that I'm also doing a coaching qualification, and that I'm also really passionate about empowering people in their work.
Or parenting, since you've mentioned it.
So I would actually really love to use coaching to help women back into the workplace after
that's
they've returned
wonderful.
from maternity leave. That's something I'm quite passionate about. So that's something you didn't know, but that's also like a strength that I probably bring to that corner of coaching from my personal perspective. So in that quadrant, that would be the unknown. So it's looking at your strengths from different perspectives. And you can also ask people, which is more part of the 360 feedback model, where you would go and ask maybe your peers, or if you're in a work environment, a colleague, to give you some like constructive feedback as to what you think they think your strengths are. Because it might be something completely different to what you're aware of.
100%, 100%.
Or it might be in line with that and it will boost you in a certain way. So I think there are different tools that you can use to look at strengths. There's also free online strengths tests. And you can like do little quizzes and figure out what they are.
That'd be kind of fun, actually.
Yeah.
People like that sort of thing.
Because it might pull out some things and you're like, oh, I wouldn't have said that's a strength. But if you reflect on it a little bit more, you might say, actually, I could probably put that down as a strength. And don't be shy. Like if you're creating a strengths list, no one else has to see that. It's
That's also
really
true.
good for yourself to know, like that's what I find as a strength. And you can also do it relative to things that you're applying to. Or you might just want to do it so you have an idea what your strengths are. And it can also help you reflect on where you want to work on weaknesses as well.
Or sometimes you can think of strengths when you talk about your experience. You kind of just think about, okay, for this job, what would I need? Even if you don't necessarily relate it to yourself, I think, because again, if that's something that's hard for you, I can understand that. But it's just objectively for these jobs, you needed these skills. So you definitely have these skills kind of thing. But
With that, I guess, what are there any other kind of main takeaways that you might have that we haven't asked any questions, I guess, as a final note?
Let me think. Must be loads of things.
now you put pressure on her.
I think just the main things are remembering to get ahead of the curve. So starting to think about your career journey, which I know I've spoken about, but I think it's really important. I didn't know that the PDC existed until I was in my final year. And I managed to like get on board with the things. But if I had known that from the beginning, I think I would have been in a completely different like situation. Not that where I am and it's now it's bad and it's worked out well. I like it here, but I could have been in a different situation. I could have done lots of other things and built my portfolio a bit more. So just continue to do that and explore. Know that there's a team that's here to support you, and just be inquisitive. Like, don't rule things out. Ask questions as well. Even when you are on placement, push yourself, ask questions, network. Even if it's like you're going to get some water from the water machine and there's someone there that you haven't met, introduce yourself because you don't know where it could lead.
100%.
Nice. Yeah, with that, thank you so much.
Thank you so
for your
much.
time. And thank you so much for all the amazing
And all the
advice as well,
answers. It was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.